This is unreal.
The weather, an uncontrollable force, giving us life and taking it away. As our planet heats up, the weather is getting more extreme.
Guys, we've got cars floating again.
More terrifying.
Avalanche! Avalanche!
And even more catastrophic.
If you're the praying type, please just pray for us, because this is really scary.
With incredible self-shot footage.
I thought Titanic came into my head.
From the front line of fear.
The biggest challenge we have is going against Mother Nature.
It's an extremely challenging environment.
We witness firsthand
what I was feeling was burning from inside out.
the wrath of Mother Nature.
I was saying everything's going to be okay, even though in my head I knew that was a lie.
I'm getting out of here.
It's like your brain doesn't understand what you're seeing.
From twisted tales of terror.
I don't want to die in my store.
Death was right around the corner.
Earth-shattering natural disasters.
It's an earthquake!
You're dicing with danger. If you're in their way, you die.
And stories of sheer destruction.
Oh my God!
It's all gone.
It looks like World War II.
We meet the people who've stared death in the face.
We're not going to get out of this alive.
And survived the full force of the world's deadliest weather.
Really kicking our ass.
Coming up in this episode, a record-breaking cyclone wrecks Fiji.
This was a natural disaster of epic proportion that we were right in the middle of.
Leaving people on the islands with nowhere to run.
Really kicking our ass.
A pleasure cruise ends in disaster. As catastrophic engine failure leaves it stranded in a storm.
The thought Titanic came into my head. It was all unbelievable.
And a kite surfer pushes his luck during Storm Callum.
Glad to be alive.
Fiji, a collection of over 300 tropical islands in the South Pacific, and destination for travelers searching for crystal clear waters and idyllic white sandy beaches. British backpackers George Burke and Maddie Fry visited the Fijian island of Koro in January 2016 to work on a volunteering project.
I first decided to go to Fiji at the end of school on a gap year. I wasn't disappointed when I got there. I thought it was amazing. The country's absolutely stunning.
If you literally imagine paradise, that's what it was like. And everyone there is so friendly, and it was such a cool experience.
We were teaching in the schools, we were playing sports, the weather was absolutely amazing.
They were on the island for just 4 weeks when a tropical cyclone named Winston begins to loom in the South Pacific Ocean.
That day was completely different. It was dark and it was cold. I'd see men boarding up their windows. They were hammering planks of wood to their windows. That made me a bit alarmed. I realised it's going to be pretty big.
On a hotel resort in neighbouring island Gamia is scuba diving instructor Chad Sinden.
Part of our job is to monitor the weather, as any good dive operation does, and we knew the storm was incoming. It was classified as a Category 4, and it was just due to miss us, and then overnight it was upgraded to a Category 5. We were just completely unprepared for how quickly the storm would arrive and the intensity in which it would arrive.
The cyclone gathers strength over the warm waters of the South Pacific and is now on a direct path towards the islands of Fiji. On Koro, George and Maddie take refuge in one of the few brick houses on the island, praying that its solid walls will keep them safe.
There were about 20 people in the room that was no bigger than the standard size living room in a UK house. I was saying everything's going to be okay, even though in my head I knew that was a lie.
I don't think it's that bad, man.
This was a natural disaster of epic proportion that we were right in the middle of. Literally nothing could be done to help us in that scenario.
It was kind of getting progressively worse. The noise was getting a lot louder. We just remember seeing a lot of flooding. The wind was actually picking up seawater. Outside, you couldn't really see anything. It was really hazy. You could just hear this loud whistle of winds going past.
Also on Coral, seasoned travellers Mike and Samantha Mudd take shelter in a house they believe is built to withstand cyclones.
People kept telling us that Coral Island was the safest area for cyclones. We got a phone call about 6 a.m. from our neighbor, and she was crying, and she was saying, we're gonna be hit by this huge storm, and there's nowhere to run.
Figured it's not gonna get much worse than this. And then the wind just kept getting heavier and heavier and heavier.
Meanwhile, Chad and his mate Sammy are enjoying their close encounter with a tropical cyclone.
I've never ever seen wind as strong as this. The door was getting smashed against it.
We thought this is quite a unique experience, this will be fun. And we started to run around with our cameras.
Winston's really kicking our asses now. The door is absolutely chaos.
We were kind of having fun running around in our flip-flops with a hard hat on, of course. Safety first all the time, you must wear a hard hat.
The noise was just like this massive, like, howling wind. Things getting thrown about, and I don't know what was going on, but obviously everything was just getting torn apart, so you could kind of hear like bangs and crashes.
I just couldn't get over how loud the whole thing was. Like a jet engine was, was just outside the door. You start seeing things large and things that shouldn't be flying. It was apocalyptic. Everyone in the group was worried, panicked. We were thinking, what do we do? Some of the girls were crying, some of the boys were crying. Anxiety was just gripping at us, and we just wanted to be safe.
Mike and Samantha Mudd's cyclone-proof house is being tested by wind speeds of around 185 miles per hour and a lethal build-up of pressure.
The wind was blowing in such a way that we could feel it in our spines, vibrating every part of your body.
And the air pressure, it's like when you go in an airplane and your ears start hurting and you feel like your head is going to explode.
The house fills up with pressure. The wind blows in and it's not able to escape. So it felt as if the house was a balloon that was filling with pressure until walls started popping.
It was literally just rattling the entire house. And that was when I started feeling really afraid. That's the wind ready to pull the roof off. What are we gonna do? The roof is gonna come off.
Back at his resort, Chad throws caution to the wind and makes the disastrous decision to head out into Cyclone Winston for one last time.
The storm's really intensifying now.
Really bad idea being outside.
Probably not good staying under a coconut tree.
We'll do one more lap of the resort, just to make sure no guests are there.
No damage to the resort.
To make sure there are no locals that are also injured or caught under trees or anything like that.
Just walking round to see if anybody's been injured. Really kicking our ass.
So we were walking around, spinning around wildly, looking at trees sort of blowing over, branches flying through the sky.
Little does Chad know, he's about to become Winston's next target.
A huge branch landed directly on my head and knocked me out to the floor. I remember going down with a sickening thud.
Also feeling the full effects of Winston's wrath, the roof of Mike and Samantha's safe house.
When the roof came down, we all dove into the bathroom. I just kind of got into fetal position. The cyclone is not outside anymore, it's inside. We felt completely helpless. My biggest fear was how much it would hurt. If I'm gonna die, I hope this is a painless death and a fast one.
Later, we see how Cyclone Winston became the biggest storm ever to make landfall in the southern hemisphere.
As soon as those waves take you, you all got.
We need a chopper, mate. We need a helicopter. This is ridiculous.
We're not going to get out of this alive, surely.
March 2019. The Viking Sky cruise ship is heading towards London after visiting the northern tip of Norway. The ship is carrying almost 500 crew members and over 900 passengers. On board are friends Mark and Angie from the UK.
I've been on 62 cruises, including Viking. Throughout most of the cruise, the weather was wonderful.
We'd been on the ship for 10 days and been on some amazing tours.
Also on board is Californian Alexis Shepherd with her wife and friends.
The purpose of this Viking Sky cruise was to go see the Northern Lights. We noticed that the seas were getting high enough that we could actually see them out the window. And so we commented that, gosh, the waves are getting pretty big.
The ship is sailing through a storm along the Harstad-Vika coast and a notoriously dangerous stretch of Norwegian coastline with shallow water and many reefs and little islands.
The seas, they were quite dramatic. And it started getting rough, or rougher, I should say, fairly quickly. It was shortly after that that the ship lost power. Then, of course, it was at the mercy of the wind and the seas. So it was then being pushed towards shore and pushed towards the rocks.
With all 4 engines shut down, the ship is now dead in the water.
Everything started sliding about. The ship made this 40-degree roll. I knew this is not normal. I was hanging on like grim death to a glass balcony beside my chair.
Oh my goodness! People were being knocked down by the furniture and the ceiling was falling down. It immediately went from being fun and being funny to, oh my goodness, this is serious. The seas were about 30 feet. That's the height of like a 3-story building. People were crying because some people were injured or been tossed against a piece of furniture, or the piece of furniture came after them.
Lifeboat station.
The general alarm went off, and it was lifeboat stations. It's something that you never actually expect to be said to you. We can't be going in the boats, surely not in this weather. They wouldn't try to launch the boat.
The ship was coming apart at the seams in places. The captain announced that he had actually issued a mayday. That means the ship is in danger of sinking. Mayday is like, help, we can't help ourselves.
We had no power. We'd lost power to all 4 engines and we were drifting towards the rocks. And if we hit them, there was nothing anybody could do to save us.
The captain drops the anchors, but 15-foot waves are forcing the rescue boats back to shore and rendering the lifeboats useless.
They couldn't launch the lifeboats. And I moved further down, but a huge wave just smashed in the door. 30 of us were just underneath this wave. The lights on the jackets were flashing and we were just surging en masse forward along with all the furniture, just scrambling, trying to make sense of what had happened. The thought Titanic came into my head. I'm in a ship, I know I'm still in the ship, but I'm underwater, or what's going on? And one of the crew started shouting, "Get up onto a higher deck, get up onto a higher deck."
With lifeboats no longer an option, Norway sent 6 of their 14 rescue helicopters to evacuate passengers. Helicopter rescue swimmer Alvin Finn is one of many flying in to help.
My first thought was, wow, is this for real or is it an exercise? The wind speed was about 50 knots when we arrived, which is a full storm. It's like thousands of reefs there. Some you see and some you don't see, they're just under the surface. It's the worst area where something like this can happen. My biggest worry was that the anchors would not hold and the boat would drift onto a reef and maybe tip to a side. The main challenge was the amount of people. Also, a lot of them were old.
Alexis is hunkering down in the forward muster station, the ship's theatre.
You got 500 people-ish sitting in these seats with life jackets on with nowhere to go. Worst case scenario was that we were going to die. You know what? We're not that far from the rocks, and the wind and the waves are still pushing, and if those anchors break loose, we're going to be in trouble. You're literally completely helpless.
On the top deck, helicopter rescue operations continue.
If the helicopter is not in place, where it has to be relative to the boat, the person can either hit the wall or the fence on the other side.
After encountering water inside the ship, Angie is next in line for a helicopter rescue.
I was just so cold, just couldn't stop shivering. I was just shaking because I was just dripping wet. The helicopter winch was so noisy, and as we stepped out onto the deck, I just thought, I don't want to do this because it was very windy, it was so cold. We couldn't hear anything, but it was indicated to us very clearly that you hang on tight, you keep your elbows in and shut your eyes. And after a while, I thought, we're not moving up anymore. I want to be there now. We seem to be dangling on this rope a long time. So I opened my eyes, which was not a good thing to do because I could then see we were spinning round and round and round and also swaying a lot. So I shut my eyes again and shortly after that I just remember feeling the back of the helicopter underneath me. I was just numb and it was all unbelievable.
After 5 hours, 100 passengers have been evacuated. But back in the theatre, there are still hundreds of passengers waiting for rescue.
There were some people that were just, I want to go next, I want to go next, I want off this ship, get me off this ship. And then there were people like us who said, nope, we don't want to go for a helicopter ride.
After over 16 hours in the theatre, the tide turns and the storm starts easing off.
In the morning, we had been successfully attached to the tugboats. That was probably the first time that there was this collective sigh of, it was emotionally and physically exhausting.
Helicopter rescue operations were suspended after airlifting 479 people. And the ship was towed to the port of Molde, where 16 people were taken to hospital for treatment.
In 35 years of cruising, I've never experienced anything quite like this.
We worked for 10 hours and then I rescued 42 people. We just do our job like everyone else. We are no heroes.
The sea is powerful. You can't argue with the sea.
The weather doesn't care what the forecast was. The weather is going to do what it's going to do, when it's going to do it. The fact that a ship as big as that could get in trouble from the weather as quickly as it did just reasserted that Murphy's Law still works. That if it can go wrong, it will go wrong.
Still to come. In Fiji, Cyclone Winston gets too close for comfort.
You realise how much you want to live in these situations.
And destroys everything in its path.
We said our goodbyes and, said I love you and, this is it.
Avalanche! Avalanche!
Plus a deadly avalanche spells disaster in Spain. Mother Nature can be a brutal, unforgiving force. But some clever folk have learned to embrace the elements and use the weather to their advantage. It's 35 degrees in New South Wales, Australia, and this science-mad dad is using the sun to cook his breakfast.
Look at that. Wow.
It takes no time for the blazing sun to take effect.
Oh. It's hot.
Served on a slice of bread, sunny side up with a pinch of salt, and voila, breakfast is served. In Cape Town, South Africa, this ecstatic woman is welcoming the rain after a drought by washing herself, her driveway, and her car. In Dallas, Texas, professional skydiver Michelle Niramandrad is harnessing the wind's power to create awesome aerial art. Free-falling from 13,000 feet, with canvases strapped to her arms and leg, she releases the paint to create abstract artwork, which she calls Captured Sky. After deploying her canopy, she floats back down to land with some new masterpieces to proudly display on her wall. One man who relies on the awesome power of the wind is three-time European kitesurfing champion Ollie Bridge from Exmouth in the UK.
Kitesurfing is a wind-related sport, so the weather is really important. When we're looking at the weather forecast and we see that there's a storm on the way, we always get quite excited about that because it means it's going to be really windy and rough. There's nothing quite like it.
And for Ollie, the windier the better. So when Storm Callum hit in October 2018, he and his brothers decide they have to take it on.
We woke up on the day of Storm Callum and it was high tide and the waves were crashing over the seafront wall, which doesn't happen often. So we loaded the cars and headed straight down to the beach. I just think excited.
With winds of up to 76 miles per hour, Callum is battering Britain.
Day one, Storm Callum, blowing a gale, 30 to 40 knots.
Whilst most Brits are hunkering down at home to avoid the storm, Ollie does the opposite, despite the dangers.
Worst case scenario is if your kite deflates on the water or you snap a line and then you're stuck out at sea. The weather can change instantly and it would be dangerous. If we're high up in the air and something breaks, it's going to lead to injury, and there is a possibility that something serious could happen and maybe that I could drown.
Regardless of the risks, Ollie and his brothers are still going head-to-head with the storm. But Mother Nature is wildly unpredictable, and a sudden change in wind direction could slam Ollie into the water, causing serious injury.
The adrenaline is quite different when there's a storm. A lot of wind and a lot of rain hitting you. Sometimes the rain really hurts because it's coming so hard against the side of your face. I think the wind was 40 plus knots. It gets crazy rough.
Ollie wants to use the 40-knot winds to propel him up to 80 feet into the air. Miraculously, he escapes the wrath of the storm unscathed.
Glad to be alive. All I can say.
And if he can survive Storm Callum, Ollie can use the power of the wind to do anything. Like taking on the European record for the highest jump just 4 months later.
I jumped 28.5 metres, and that's the European record at the moment. It makes me feel proud of myself.
Next stop, the world.
Hopefully, in 2024, I'll be able to represent Great Britain at the Olympics.
And it all comes down to just one thing.
You can't underestimate the sheer power of the storms and the weather we get, but it has made myself a career in professional kite surfing, and I'm really grateful for it.
When wind and pressure are combined, they create a weather system capable of catastrophic destruction. Earlier, we saw brutal 185-mile-per-hour winds pummeling the islands of Fiji, with a fierce Cat 5 storm named Cyclone Winston.
Really kicking our ass.
Despite the grave danger, diving instructor Chad Sinden is outside in the cyclone's eye wall, and he soon finds himself on the direct firing line of an 8-foot-long tree branch.
I remember a moment of blackness. The tree branch actually split the hard hat, cracked it, and also split my forehead open. I could feel the blood trickling down my brow. I realised that I had been ridiculously naive at running around in a storm in the first place. Realised that I'd been completely irresponsible as far as my family at home was concerned. There was definitely a doubt whether I'd survive, whether I'd see another day. And it's really quite a sombering thought. You realise how much you want to live in these situations.
Husband and wife, Mike and Samantha, prepare for the worst as Cyclone Winston fully engulfs their home.
We had a very intimate moment where we said our goodbyes and, said I love you and, this is it. And however it happens, it's been good. It's been a good life together.
But suddenly, their luck changes. With the arrival of the calm eye of Winston.
Suddenly, the wind just stopped, and it was sunny. And so we stepped outside, and this was the eye of the cyclone.
The calm eye is also a brief respite for George and Maddie and their fellow volunteers. But with a deadly storm surge and second eye wall almost upon them, they have to act fast.
It was in the eye of the storm, in the calmest moment, that we made the decision to leave the house and get to higher ground.
So we all decided to go to the church because that was the main building in the village. That was probably going to be the most sturdiest. We could see what had happened outside, what all those noises meant. The first time I saw how much had been destroyed in such a short space of time, it just broke me.
Winston's winds unleash lethal waves up to 40 feet high, threatening to crash into coastal villages and destroy everything in its path.
It was just a case of run from the waves. We were looking over our shoulder and just charging away from them. because as soon as those waves take you, you're gone.
We need a chopper, mate. We need a helicopter. This is ridiculous.
We all congregated outside the church, and it was just a mass panic. Where do we go? What do we do?
And that's when I remember turning towards the sea and seeing these huge waves. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And I genuinely remember thinking in that moment that this isn't, like, we're not going to get out of this alive, surely.
Up hill.
Everyone just kind of shouted, like, right, just run, and just run for higher ground. And luckily behind the village was like a huge hill.
Okay, watch it. You're under, you're good. Watch it, Maddie. There you go.
You either you deal with what's in front of you, or you collapse under the weight of all the pressure.
You're going to be absolutely fine, Matt, honestly. You're going to be fine.
George was very calm. He kind of took my hand and was like, okay, Mads, you can do this, come on. I just froze, I just completely panicked. I couldn't think straight.
You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine.
They finally find sanctuary in a house on higher ground. But the danger is far from over, as now they must wait out the second eye wall.
We took shelter in the house overnight. There were about 70 to 80 of us hunched up. The storm continued to intensify, and the sounds and objects flying past the window were just the same as they were before. But it wasn't until I woke up the next morning that I went out the door. Literally, it's no longer anything recognisable. And I just saw complete destruction and silence, eeriness. There wasn't a bird in the sky, there was nothing. It was just complete paradox from the night before.
Destruction to the once lush green islands of Fiji is widespread and devastating.
It looked like a nuclear bomb or something like that. It went from a lush green island to just desert.
I remember walking outside the next day, head on my hands, staring at disbelief, bewilderment at all the chaos, the trees. Once was an idyllic Fijian resort, just smashed to pieces. It was like a naked hill, and I remember feeling an immense sense of sadness.
And the effects aren't just felt on land. They are also disastrous for marine life.
Fiji is famous for its soft corals. It's the soft coral capital of the world, and I was very keen to see what happened to our local reefs. There was a small path under the direct storm which was absolutely destroyed. For me, that was very emotional, seeing this marine life completely eradicated. It was gone. It was just a sheer, bald rock.
Volunteers George and Maddie returned to the island of Koru 1 year later.
Thankfully, we had the opportunity to go back and help rebuild. And honestly, that was one of the best feelings ever.
It was closure. Being able to go back and actually contribute to helping them to rebuild the village was such a nice feeling.
All the problems we have in modern day life are entirely constructed and don't really matter. Now, I don't really get worried when I'm stuck in traffic or things don't go my way, because in the bigger picture, does it really matter? Not really.
Cyclone Winston is the biggest storm ever to make landfall in the southern hemisphere. 44 people lost their lives. Entire villages were destroyed. And Winston caused $2.5 billion worth of damage.
I did not expect to have a Cat 5 come through. I did not expect to get hit by a tree. I didn't expect to have this new lease of life that I've had since then. I think on a different day, in different circumstances, if I'd been hit by a tree branch that size without a hard hat, I think my days would have been numbered for sure.
We did not expect to go out to this island in the middle of the Pacific and face death. Nature is not something to mess with. You have to take nature seriously.
You just realize in those moments that you're completely out of control, and if Mother Nature wants to take you away, you have absolutely no power over that.
Bordering France and Spain are the Pyrenees. Extending for 300 miles, with peaks of over 10,000 feet, and a vast array of off-piste slopes, they are the perfect playground for skiers. And for Spanish friends Aran and Ales, it's all about getting off the beaten track.
Yo desde pequeño he empezado con la tabla, empiezas a descubrir lo que son fuera pistas. La primera vez que pruebas la nieve polvo es como una pequeña droga.
Cuando estás deslizando por un terreno que es como que no ha tocado nadie aún, que está virgen, pues es como una sensación súper bonita.
Craving that off-piste excitement, in February 2019, Aran and Elise, along with friend Tommy, headed to one of their favorite mountains, Two de la Llanca.
Estar ahí arriba viendo todo el paisaje es espectacular. Te empequeñece, es muy pequeñito al lado de todas las montañas.
Watching on from an adjacent peak is mountain guide Roger.
That day I had a large group to guide. We decided to go for a southern slope, and I spotted 3 skiers, and they were ready to drop in and ski a really steep slope.
Unaware of their audience, the friends begin their run, with Aran leading the way.
Dropping. No había muy buena sensación, la nieve no reaccionaba como debería.
Ya bajó Aran, haciendo sus curvas y así, y luego ya...
Me giré para mirar a ver a Tommy, empecé a hablar con él de bueno, aquí no estamos seguros, mejor salir rápido de aquí.
Be careful, up. No, it's not good.
A recent storm has dumped 20 inches of snow, disguising the weakness of the snowpack underneath, meaning it can break away easily.
Y luego bajé yo y ya vi que se me abría toda la montaña por delante.
Y nada, fue girarme y en cuestión de segundos ya se veía que, por ejemplo, la nieve ya desprenderse por encima del precipicio, por detrás nuestro. Fue cuestión de nada, 3 segundos, ya teníamos la nieve encima. Nos golpeó brutalmente.
Avalanche.
Esto de estar tragando nieve, de ver solo blanco y negro.
Te cubre, bueno, es como una ola del mar, ¿no? Como si estuvieras en el... Entonces no te desubicas, sabes que estás bajando porque es la única dirección en la que puedes ir.
Que no me pasa por la cabeza, era intentar sobrevivir.
Y al final es tan rápido que con solo un pensamiento ya ocupa todo el tiempo. No puedo morir. Hoy no.
Apenas paró la avalancha, que ya estaba pensando la suerte que había tenido de que estaba todo bien. Yo estaba enterrado por la cintura.
Incredibly, despite being caught in the tidal wave of snow, both Elise and Tommy are able to claw their way free of the deadly avalanche. But Aran is not so lucky. For many skiers, the lure of going off-piste is irresistible. In Colorado, the US, this group are halfway down a regular run when they decide to explore the neighboring forest instead. They take their time and plot out a potential route before setting off into the unknown.
Holy!
And straight into danger. Despite the scare, the man navigates his way down to safety, unhurt. Going off-piste means greater risk of unknown snow conditions. This snowmobiler is heading up a steep slope in Montana, the US, when a huge section of snow shears off, sending him and his snowmobile tumbling down the mountain. Thankfully, he was unhurt. In the Czech Republic, a man and his girlfriend are enjoying some off-piste skiing. When suddenly the snow gives way beneath his skis. The man acts quickly, inflating an emergency airbag, which helps keep him above the torrent. He grabs a passing tree and manages to cling on, and survives the ordeal without being buried beneath the avalanche.
Avalanche!
But back in the Pyrenees, snowboarder Aran is in grave danger.
Una vez ya sepultado por la nieve, aprieta, te aprieta, te aprieta hasta que no puedes respirar bien, no quieres morir y esperar y confiar en tu compañero. En este caso era Lace y Tommy, confiar en que no estuvieran sepultados y de que te iban a salir.
Aless and Tommy have freed themselves, but have no idea where their friend is.
Pongo el DBA, que es el detector de víctima de avalanchas, en modo búsqueda. Y ya me pongo de pie y empiezo a hacer como unas zetas para intentar encontrar la señal de Aran.
As Aless frantically searches for Aran, Tommy tries to get in touch with the rescue services.
Y hablamos con Tommy, fue él el que fue a buscar señal con su móvil, intentando llamar al helicóptero, pero no teníamos señal de cobertura.
En el que estoy en el agujero, yo de ninguna manera soy consciente de si alguien me está buscando o no. A los 4 minutos me quedo inconsciente.
Witnessing the horrific events unfolding, Roger realizes it's up to him to get help.
My first thought was to take my radio, call the rescue.
With the rescue team notified, but still at least 20 minutes away, Aless and Tommy continue their search for Aran, but time is quickly running out.
Una víctima, si está enterrada, son unos 15 minutos que tiene posibilidades de salir con vida, luego ya baja muy rápido.
It was very, very frustrating because I was just looking at them and just counting up the minutes, how the time was going.
Here. 1. Yeah, 1.6. 1.5. 1.4. 1.2. Here. Probe here. Must be here.
Y empezamos a cavar.
Aran.
Vimos la cara y al principio parecía que estaba inconsciente.
Aran, respira.
No sabíamos si respiraba, pero ya le puse la mano cerca de la boca y ya noté que estaba respirando muy flojito. Yo le decía que fuera haciendo ruido y así para yo darme cuenta de que estaba consciente.
Molt bé.
Y luego, intentamos, yo calmarle lo máximo que podía.
Perfecte, Aran.
Aleix y Tommy me sacaron, Aleix todo el rato apoyándome de vale, están aquí los bomberos, no sé qué, hablándome todo el rato. Recuerdo eso, el sonido del helicóptero.
Thanks to Tommy and Aless's furious digging and Roger's SOS call, disaster was averted.
Si Roger no hubiera llamado, los bomberos hubieran tardado mucho más en llegar y la cosa habría acabado un poco diferente.
I was very happy I could help.
Aran was flown to the nearest hospital where he was treated for hypothermia and was released the next day.
Es algo que en cierto modo sí que he aprendido bastante de esto. Hacerle un poco caso al instinto que diría instinto animal.
Hemos vuelto a esquiar los tres ya, pero a la vez me pone muy nervioso porque si pasa otra vez no sé si vamos a tener la misma suerte.
We've seen how powerful the weather can be. But it can also be weird and wonderful. Like this supercell cloud in Texas, with its persistently rotating updraft, sweeping across the sky over several hours. Its huge disk formation has drawn comparisons with an alien spaceship. As the storm passed near cities and towns, pictures of the supercell mothership soon flooded social media. Clearly, they want to believe. There's Instagram-worthy skies in Virginia too. The colors of a sunset or a sunrise are the result of a phenomenon known as scattering. The sun's rays change direction by small particles in the atmosphere. The shorter wavelengths, such as blue, are scattered, whilst red, with its longer wavelengths, enter our eyes. Hashtag no filter. From pink skies to pink lakes. No need to adjust your TV. This is Hutt Lagoon in Western Australia. The pink hue is caused by a certain type of algae, which is also used as a natural food colour. And it's only one of many amazing natural occurrences in our planet's lakes and seas. When the sun goes down in North Wales in the UK, there's a light show in the water. The bright blue glow is caused by billions of bioluminescent plankton. The tranquility of the water means we can see the light produced through chemical reactions occurring in the plankton's bodies. And the attention-seeking chemical reaction is actually a defense mechanism to attract bigger predators to eat whatever may be eating the plankton. It's an incredible display of nature's weird and wonderful side. In this episode, we've seen Mother Nature show no mercy. We've been exposed to the elements. We've been beaten, battered, and bruised. And next time, there will be more, because deadly weather stops for no one.